something strange about it. Because when you were a baby, did you drink milk? Did your mom give you milk? Was that to kill you or to sustain your life? Right. How about you, ma'am? Did you?
No.
Yeah. And who else? Did anyone not drink milk when they were a baby? Okay. So baby years are when you're the most vulnerable, right? So if milk is so bad, why do they give it to babies? Why don't they give the babies Pepsi Cola, or Chumpa Cola, or Meca Cola, or Coca-Cola, right? If it's so good. Right? Now, milk is the ideal food, and especially raw milk. Again, another evil word. Raw milk is the super food throughout history, and especially in Ayurveda. It contains everything you need for health. In fact, yogis in India, they don't eat a lot of food. They eat mainly raw milk or ghee, which is clarified butter. And that sustains them. And they drink pure water, and they breathe. They have very good oxygenation of the body. So, foods in the mode of goodness are those that are juicy, tender. They promote longevity. And if you want to read about it, you read the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse 10 and 8, 9, and 10. And it says, foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to heart. Now, would you say a Thanksgiving dinner would be sattvic? No, usually after Thanksgiving dinner, everyone's like this. Right? I mean, bloated, a little bit blurry in the mind, right? No, sattvic food is energizing because it's in the mode of goodness, or it promotes feelings of goodness. And then rajasic food is usually those foods which are prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten. Food that is tasteless, decomposed, and foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery, and disease. And then tamasic foods are foods prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed, and putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things are dear to those in the mode of ignorance. So, we are what we eat. And if we learn to eat properly, you will never get sick.
What about frozen vegetables?
Yeah, that is like eating something rotten. Right? So, actually, the Ayurvedic system suggests this. And I summarize it with this. Don't eat anything that has eyes in the family. And don't eat anything that if you plant it, or eat only those things that if you plant it, it grows. So, don't eat anything with eyes and a family. Well, that eliminates all the good stuff. Chickens and who knows. And don't eat anything, eat only those things that if you plant it, it grows. Well, if you get a whole wheat berry with the germ and you plant it, it grows. If you get a whole tomato and you plant it, it grows because it has the living principle in it. But if you eat different types of breads and meats and all the processed foods, dry cereals, one of the worst things you can eat, no matter how good they say it is, then you're not eating any life principle, and it diminishes your energy and your concentration. And you who are students, you should pay attention to this. If you want to have more mental acuity, if you want to have more energy, if you want to be able to stay awake in long-winded lectures like the one I'm giving, you need to pay attention to the Ayurvedic diet. Okay, so food is the best medicine, and food in the mode of goodness is the best medicine. Foods in the mode of passion, and especially ignorance, get people sick because it unbalances. destroys the balances of the doshas, the Vayu, Pitta, and Kapha. So, why do people end up getting really fat? Because they eat denatured food. Denatured food means it doesn't have all the minerals and vitamins in it. So when you eat denatured food, you never get satisfied and your body keeps pushing you to eat more, to get the requisite, the prerequisite, or the required amount of vitamins and minerals. So people get fat because they eat, they can't stop eating. Whereas if you eat highly nutritious food, you eat less. And your body doesn't push you. It feels satisfied, it gets a feeling of satiation. Okay, now, in Ayurveda, the main reason people get sick is because they waste semen. The life principle, not the life principle, no, the life principle and energetic principle is in semen. And men and women have semen to a certain degree. And it takes about two pounds of food to make 1 drop of blood. It takes 40 drops of blood to make 1 drop of semen. So, if a person is dropping semen, they are basically undermining the whole health of their physical body. And it diminishes the lifespan, it diminishes the concentration level of the mind, or the ability of the mind to remember, and so forth. It has a lot of major consequences. Therefore, in the Ayurvedic technique, or in yoga techniques, there is a way to, rather than drop semen down, to raise it up through the spinal column so that it enters into the mind and it fertilizes the mind. So people who learn this yogic technique, they become what's called trikalagya. They're able to understand and predict past, present, and future, and they get total recall. They hear something once in their life, they remember it the rest of their life. The memory becomes very, very powerful. And you can see this in ancient India, and even today, when young boys and girls are trained to be celibate during their student years, they become extremely intelligent. And they're able to understand higher order concepts, to remember things much better, to have much more clarity of thought and analysis, intellectual analysis, when they're taught to be what's called brahmacharis or brahmacharinis, celibate students. In fact, the student years should always be celibate. And then, when they come into